Being an actor means stepping into every role, but some Korean stars take it to a whole new level by transforming their bodies so drastically that you wouldn't even recognize them. From extreme weight gain to insane muscle building, these actors pushed their limits for their craft. Today, we're counting down the craziest body transformations in K-drama history, starting from Kim Ji-won's transformation for Queen of Tears.
나는 예쁜 척하는 게 아니라 그냥 예쁘게 태어난 건데.
So when the trailers for Queen of Tears dropped, my first thought was genuinely, she looks like she was designed in a lab to be a chaebol heiress. That sharp, sculpted, almost untouchable look. Turns out it took a full year of discipline to pull off. Kim Ji-won revealed on Salon Drip 2 that she completely cut out heavy Chinese food for 12 months. And not just any Chinese food, her favorite, black bean noodles, jjajangmyeon, gone for a year. I cannot stress enough how much that would break me personally. But she said it was about more than just staying thin. She wanted Hong Hae-in to look refined, high society, like someone who owns a department store and has never once waited in a line. She also did 6 hours of dance training daily just to perfect her posture. 6 hours! Fans who followed her since my Liberation notes noticed immediately how her whole vibe had shifted. Less soft, more sculpted. It really did work. Every frame of that show, she looked like money. Number 13. Park Seo-joon, Concrete Utopia. Most of us know Park Seo-joon as the guy who makes you wish you had a boyfriend. Charming, fit, always glowing. So seeing him gaunt and hollowed out in Concrete Utopia was a genuine, wait, is he okay moment? He dropped about 7 kilograms, around 15 pounds, to play Min-sung, a regular guy, just trying to survive after an earthquake flattened Seoul. But here's the part that gets me. They filmed in the middle of summer, blazing, brutal summer heat. And the cast had to wear thick winter parkas the whole time because the story is set in a freezing post-apocalyptic world. So Park Seo-joon is already running low on body weight, dehydrated, and now he's sweating through a parka under studio lights. He said in interviews it felt dangerous at times, dizzy, drained, and he still had to deliver these raw, emotionally exhausting scenes. Fans were genuinely worried watching the finished film because his face looked so stripped down. But honestly, that's exactly what the role needed. It's a long way from Itaewon Class, and that contrast was the whole point. Number 12. Ho Sung-tae, Squid Game. This one genuinely alarmed me when I first read about it. To play Deok-soo, the big, intimidating, absolutely terrifying villain of Squid Game, he gained 17 kilograms. That's nearly 40 pounds in 1 month. Because the director looked at him after a break between projects and said he looked too thin for the role. 1 month. I need a moment with that. He later opened up about how that rapid gain wasn't just uncomfortable, it caused real physical damage. He mentioned his calf muscles actually tearing from the sudden added weight on his frame. His calves, tearing. And he still showed up and played that role with so much menace that half the internet was genuinely scared of him. He's been candid since then about how he'd think seriously before ever doing a transformation that fast again. Which, yeah, fair. Completely fair. He brought Deok-soo to life, but the price tag on that performance was way higher than it should have been. Number 11. Kim Sung-oh, Missing You. Okay, this one I have to be honest about. I had to pause the screen more than once. Kim Sung-oh lost 16 kilograms in roughly 4 weeks to play a serial killer in the thriller Missing You. At 181 centimeters tall, he came down to just 56 kilograms. That's 123 pounds at almost 6 feet. On camera, he looked skeletal. Not, wow, he committed to the role. More like, someone please get this man a sandwich immediately. What really got under my skin was something he shared afterward. During the extreme diet, he started hearing ringing in his ears. The reason? The fat in his ear canals had essentially disappeared. I didn't even know that was a thing your body could do. It's the kind of physical detail that makes you realize how genuinely dangerous these transformations can get. And here's the thing, it worked. His presence in that show was deeply unsettling in a way that CGI or makeup alone could never achieve. The hollowness was real because it was real. Still, I'll be honest, some of his scenes were hard to watch for reasons that had nothing to do with the plot. Number 10. Park Shin-hye, the judge from hell. She has spent a solid chunk of her career being the nation's sweetheart. Warm, lovable, always suffering beautifully in a melodrama. So when the judge from hell came along, the shift was immediate and pretty striking. Fans started noticing a sharper jawline, a leaner and more angular overall look. Less girl next door, more do not test me. It wasn't the most extreme physical change on this list, but it was deliberate. She explained that the action-heavy role demanded a completely different kind of fitness. Stamina, strength, the ability to move like someone who is literally a merciless supernatural judge. There was some online chatter about her looking too thin, which honestly is a conversation that follows her everywhere. But what I think got lost in that noise is how intentional the whole transformation felt. She wasn't just losing weight, she was shedding a whole persona. And seeing her in that cold, angular silhouette, completely unbothered and terrifying, that was a new side of her. One I'd like to see more of, honestly. Number 9. Han So-hee, My Name. There's a version of Han So-hee that most people fell for first. The gorgeous, almost ethereal one from Nevertheless, draped in silk and looking like a Renaissance painting. And then My Name dropped, and she showed up looking like she could flip a car. She gained 10 kilograms of muscle for that role, but it wasn't just gym sessions. She essentially lived at an action school for months, training until the physicality became instinct. She wanted to look like someone who had genuinely been hardened by violence, not just styled to look tough. And you could tell the difference on screen. Her shoulders were broader, her movements more grounded, and her bruised knuckles in some of those fight scenes, not entirely makeup. Fans who only knew her delicate image were genuinely stunned. She said she ate freely to fuel training, which sounds like a great deal until you remember she was doing that while also doing full combat choreography every single day. That's a trade-off I'd have to think hard about. She apparently did not hesitate. Number 8. Rowoon, the Murky Stream. He is already the kind of person who makes the rest of us feel like we should go home and reconsider our life choices. He's 6'3", built, and has the structured face of someone who was carved rather than born. So when news broke that he lost 8 kilograms in a single week for the Murky Stream, the first reaction was, wait, 8 kilograms in a week? That's not a diet. That's basically aggressive dehydration. He joked in interviews that he had to stop eating his mom's cooking because it was just too good to resist while trying to lean down. And here's my favorite detail from this whole situation. The director actually told him his six-pack looked too defined for the role. Too defined. He needed to look rougher, more stray cat, less polished idol. Can you imagine being so physically put together that your abs become a plot problem? I genuinely cannot relate to this on any level. But I'm very curious to see what unrefined Rowoon looks like on screen, because the baseline version is already a lot to handle. Number 7. Lee Sung-kyung, Weightlifting Fairy Kim Bok-joo. This one hits a little differently, because it's not a dark story. It's actually kind of sweet. Lee Sung-kyung came into this role as a former model, tall, very lean, built for runways, and then she was cast as a collegiate weightlifter, which meant that whole look had to change. So she did something most models would never do on purpose. She intentionally gained weight. Mostly through late-night fried chicken, which relatable, but also very fast. And she's talked since about how the speed of the gain came with some real side effects, stretch marks, skin issues, which she handled with a lot more openness than most people would. But what came out of it was Kim Bok-joo, one of the most genuinely lovable characters in K-drama history. She was round and strong and happy and eating everything on screen, and it felt so refreshing compared to the usual perfectly thin lead template. A lot of people, myself included, felt bizarrely better about themselves watching her just enjoy her food. That's a gift, honestly. Number 6. Lee Jung Ha, Moving. If you watched Moving and fell completely in love with Bong-seok, the shy, floaty, absolutely adorable kid who literally lifts off the ground when he's happy, you were watching someone who had gained 30 kilograms for that role. 30 kilograms, 66 pounds. He said he basically kept himself in a permanent state of, I just ate ramen and I'll do it again throughout production. And it worked perfectly. He had this soft, round quality that made him look cuddly and harmless, which made the bigger moments of the show hit even harder. But here's the plot twist. He showed up to a red carpet after filming, having lost almost all of it, and people genuinely didn't recognize him. Sharp features, completely different build, and he had to explain at auditions afterward, "No, seriously, I'm the guy from Moving." That's wild. Going from being one of the most recognizable faces of that whole streaming season to having to reintroduce yourself in rooms. Also, a small practical note. The stunt team had to wire lift him during his floating scenes at his heaviest weight. I just think about that sometimes and smile. Number 5. Jang Dong-yoon, Like Flowers and Sand. He spent a lot of his early career being the pretty boy, fine-featured, slim, the kind of actor that gets cast opposite candy-colored backdrops. Then he decided to gain 14 kilograms to play a Shirium, Korean traditional wrestling, athlete, and suddenly none of those previous descriptions applied anymore. He topped out around 80 kilograms, and his frame completely changed. Broader, heavier, with thighs that made sense on a wrestler. He said he leaned into pizza to help the weight come on, which is a dietary strategy I fully endorse. He also joked that when he watched himself on screen, his facial features were completely covered by his cheeks. Which, okay, same, but I don't think he looked bad at all. He just looked like a completely different person. What gets me is how quickly these actors seem to reset after filming. He dropped all of it once the camera stopped rolling. I eat one extra slice of pizza and it's with me for the next 6 months. There's definitely something unfair happening here. Number 4. Park Min-young, Marry My Husband. This one genuinely upset people, and honestly, I get it. Park Min-young lost weight down to 37 kilograms, that's 81 pounds, to play a cancer patient in the opening episode of Marry My Husband. And it wasn't subtle. She looked fragile in a way that went past acting and started feeling genuinely alarming to watch. Fans were scared. Not, oh, she really committed to the role scared. More like, someone check on her scared. She later addressed it directly, explaining that it was done under medical supervision and that during those filming days, she was surviving mostly on ion drinks. Which, why did they do this? I understand the dedication, and she is healthy now and back to her normal weight, but those scenes in the first episode are hard to revisit. She looked genuinely unwell, and the performance was heartbreaking because of it. It was professional to the point of being difficult to watch. There's a line somewhere between commitment to craft and please eat something, and this one danced right on that edge. Number 3. Namgoong Min, The Veil. Okay, so Namgoong Min has always been a good-looking guy. Tall, lean, great at playing sharp and suave characters. And then The Veil happened, and he showed up looking like he'd been sculpted out of something dense and immovable. He gained 14 kilograms of muscle, and his back, I'm not exaggerating, looked like a topographical map of a mountain range. The transformation happened fast enough that rumors started circulating online about whether he'd used performance-enhancing substances, which he shut down pretty firmly. His answer? Oxbone soup, eggs, and the gym, constantly, to the point where he said he was exhausted of working out, but couldn't stop because the character required maintaining that size throughout the entire shoot. When you put The Veil side by side with something like Chief Kim, it genuinely doesn't look like the same human being. The build, the posture, the way he takes up space on screen, completely different. He won the Daesong that year. Safe to say the oxbone soup paid off. Number 2. Roh Jeong-eui, Hierarchy. She has been in this industry since she was a kid, so she's no stranger to pressure. But the conversation around her appearance during Hierarchy, and honestly going back to Our Beloved Summer, got really loud, and not always in a healthy way. She lost 7 kilograms and was reportedly down to 39 kilograms. And online, a certain corner of the internet became obsessed with calling her doll-like and treating her weight almost like an achievement to admire. To her credit, she actually addressed this directly and said she regretted being so open about her numbers. Her concern was that younger fans might try to replicate it, which shows a kind of self-awareness that honestly surprised me, in the best way. She's been pretty clear since then that her focus has shifted towards eating well and being strong rather than just being thin. The Ice Queen look she brought to Hierarchy absolutely set the character. Cold, untouchable, every inch the elite school villain. But I'm glad she's talking about it honestly, because the doll framing that surrounded her was never something she asked to become a blueprint. Number 1. Lee Jung Ha, Sweet Home. And here we are, the one that made the whole internet stop and rewind. Lee Jung Ha in Sweet Home, specifically the scene where she moves through the vents and her back muscles visibly shift and ripple under her skin, genuinely had people convinced it was visual effects. It was not visual effects. That was her actual body. She got her body fat down to 8%. 8%. To put that in context, most female athletes at peak competition aren't operating at that level. She came into this with a background as an amateur boxer, so the discipline was already there. But she took it somewhere else entirely for this role. Heavy strength training, an extremely strict diet, the kind of regimen that doesn't leave room for much else. Every time that scene comes on, I have this simultaneous urge to go do a push-up and also never complain about anything again. She looked powerful in a way that felt almost mythological, and the fact that it was completely real made it hit harder. She is, without question, the standard for what physical transformation actually means on this list. Who had the transformation that genuinely made you do a double take? Drop your pick in the comments. If this kind of thing is your world and you want something a little easier on the nerves, go check out our last video, Top 12 K-drama actors who look even hotter with glasses on. Way less suffering, way more looking great. It's the palate cleanser you need after this one.